and it's a twist on a classic comfort food, the hearty lasagna you know and love with a different sauce to carry the flavor. We've got our Becky Low here with us with a creamy spinach and mushroom lasagna. Now, Becky, we've got the tomatoes and everything that's kind of staple for lasagna. This is a nice, different twist on it.
In fact, I love the tomato lasagna. I just like lasagna, period. But the tomato sometimes has a sharp taste to it, and so this is very mild. And so be aware of that. You know, it's just a nice take on it. You get that spinach taste and the mushrooms and the creaminess. It's a mild taste rather than a tangy taste with the tomato.
Okay, now when we say lasagna, if you're like me, the idea of the noodles kind of scares me from making homemade noodles. They can be kind of finicky. What's the best way to get those right? 'Cause that's key.
Follow the package directions.
What are you trying to say? If I can read, I can do it?
Well, you know, one of the faults that we have with making them is we try to put them in too small of a pan. So use a larger pan with lots of water, and then don't overcook them. Now, another thing is that once they're cooked, rinse them, and then put a little bit of oil and lay them flat, and it'll be much easier to work with than if you just kind of drain them and you've got them all in a pan and or colander.
Okay, now this type of sauce, can it be store-bought, or do you recommend homemade only?
Well, I like homemade, but I have to admit that sometimes I will shortcut and use something from the store, in which case just an Alfredo sauce would work with it.
Okay.
You need about, for a 9 by 13 pan, you're going to need about 3 cups of sauce, and so watch your package container and then just figure it out from there, and you're ready to go.
Okay, so let's roll up our sleeves and dive in here.
Okay, again, I like the scratch, and you do want to put the mushrooms in, so what I've done is just saute some mushrooms with a little bit of onions.
Is there a particular type of mushroom you want to use?
You know, it's whatever you like, whether you're using the portobello or the blanc or the cremini, or, you know, whatever you like with it. Personally, I like a blend with it. Okay, so once your onions, you can see that those onions are kind of transparent and the mushrooms are nice and tender. The white sauce is actually so basic and so easy. It's just making a roux or a bechamel sauce, you know, so it's really easy. So we're putting that in.
And was that the flour?
That was flour.
Okay.
And so whatever amount of butter that you're using, so 2 tablespoons in this amount, then I'm using 2 tablespoons of butter. Okay, now here's also another tip with it. Sometimes when you're adding that cold milk, it just takes forever for it to cook down and to start to boil again. So I like to put that in the microwave for just a second.
Oh, that is a good little trick.
And so now it's warm, and then we're gradually going to add that in until it's nice and smooth. You know, we add a little bit.
Why do you do a gradual? Why won't it work if you just pour it all in?
It just helps with the lumps.
Okay,
so
helps
it works,
smooth out easier.
And especially since we have the mushrooms in there, we can't strain it. And you know, when you're putting the flour into the butter, that really helps to make a smooth sauce anyway. Okay, so once it gets to that point, I can put the rest of my milk in. And personally, I like a whole milk with this, but you can use skim. Okay. Skim, you're not going to have as much flavor.
Okay.
Or, you know, the whole milk or some half and half with it.
Perfect.
Okay, so to speed that up, here it is. We'll bring it to a boil. And here's our sauce. And the mushrooms just kind of nice and color it, and especially if you have, the portobellos have a tendency to make it a little bit darker sauce, which I like. Okay, now you always need to season it afterwards, so it's thick. And it does look like it's a little bit runny when you first cook it up, but it thickens as it cools. And then we'll add a little bit of sauce, a little bit of Italian seasoning. I like garlic salt with it as well. You know, so you taste it, you season it to taste.
Okay, and then from there?
We're ready to put it together.
Okay.
You ready?
I've got the pan.
Bring the pan over.
Pan in hand.
Put it right here in the middle. Okay, let's put a little bit of sauce on the bottom. So I'm going to move that out of the way. And you want maybe about a half a cup. Yeah, just spread that around, and that kind of keeps it from sticking. That's plenty. Okay, then our noodles. And this, you know, layering lasagna is actually, and we're a little bit long there, so I'm going to cut those off in just a second.
Okay, so in real life, we would cut those off.
Yep. To fit your pan. Oops, and you know, we're just going to fold those over.
A little extra noodle never hurt nobody.
Okay, now lasagna isn't lasagna without the cheese. And so we're using 3 cheeses. Here's some ricotta, and you want to put that on the noodle first. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put just a little bit of mozzarella on there as well.
Is this about the right, just kind of a blob full and spread it around?
Yep. The nice thing about lasagna is it's kind of a casserole, and so however it fits together.
Okay.
You do not have to use chicken, but I am using a little bit of chicken with this. In fact, I'm going to put it all in the center of my dish right here, and then I'll add some more, then sauce. Put some
then
sauce
more
on.
sauce. Here we go.
Yep, just put that on.
Oh, my mouth
I'm
is
gonna
already
put some
watering.
more. Okay, this is also a nice recipe that you can make up ahead. So make it ahead. You're ready to go. You know, when you're stressed and tight with time, it freezes, so you can do that freezing as well. Okay, you've got that down pat.
Woo!
Okay, next is the spinach. I'm going to show you a little bit of tip. In fact, go ahead and put the rest of that on while we're talking.
And let's move through the spinach quickly if we can here.
The spinach, you want to wilt it down. So 8 ounces of spinach starts out like this big bowl, but then it reduces to this, but you don't want to overcook it. Now, another thing that I like to do is put it on a plate or something of that nature and just tilt it so that you can see the extra juice run off it. A little bit of juice is good. You don't need to put a lot on. But that little bit just kind of adds to it. And you know, because I have it on a cutting board, it's just easy to spread that right onto my
And that's done on our last layer.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, let's put the top on.
The top on, and then what does our finished product look like?
Oh,
how long do we bake it?
Okay, it's at 350 degrees for approximately an hour. You know, 30 to 40 minutes depending on your oven and also the pan that you're using. Now obviously with my small pan I can do that in about 40 minutes. But a 9 by 13, or if it's coming out of the fridge, then I would want to do it for about an hour. So that varies. Okay, and I like to top it off with a little bit of Parmesan cheese at the very end.
Oh,
so
and
Parmesan,
here it is, and the final touch.
Yeah,
look at that.
Sprinkle that on.
Thank you so much.
Delicious, ready to go.
Oh, as I throw it everywhere. Thank you so much. Here's your dinner, guys. Get the things, and you've got it ready to go. Thanks, Becky. You can find Becky's recipe for creamy spinach and mushroom lasagna on our website. Look for the recipe button on the top of the page, and then click through. You'll find the full recipe, and you can watch this demo all over again so that you're fully prepared when it's your turn to hit the kitchen.